All right. Speaking of good job, let's do top and rollers.
All right. This is for the week of April 6th through the 12th.
And in second place, we have AO Scan Global.
And from down under, we have Emma McEwen. Great job, Emma.
Emma's first place.
Yeah, she's in first place. Well done. She's going to get the 6-pack of AO Scan passes that she can share with people to continue that opportunity to hit first place.
And I just want to say this was a little bit of an unusual week. Emma had 10 new people. AO Scan Global had 8 new people.
Wow.
So that is incredible. Good job to both of you.
You guys are on fire.
Yeah. All right. Contest last week. And we asked you, what's a mindset shift you are working on now? And we're going to give away
AO Gut, the singles.
Singles, right? Yes.
You want me first? Okay. All right, mix them up.
There's a lot in here.
Mix them up. All right.
Okay, mindset shift.
Mindset shift. Here we go. This is Jeanette Blee, I think. One shift I'm trying to make is getting rid of negative thoughts and thinking that I can't do something new. MindSync is helping me, as well as inner voice and time. Positive changes are happening slowly but surely. Thank you, Solex. Jeanette, great job. And great job in recognizing that it's not in today's society where it's like everything has to be fast.
I need it now.
You know, understanding to be patient with that process. Yeah, it'll work.
That's mature. That's wise. All right, Kathy Berger. The mindset I am working on is to always think positive. I feel like there's a theme. I love it. You are training your brain so that there is no room for negativity. Yes.
Yeah. Keep putting in those positive thoughts. There's no room for the negatives.
Love that.
All right, last winner of the AO Gut Singles is Harriet Hunter Boykin. The mindset that I need to change is that I am not a salesperson. Instead, I must view this as sharing, not selling. Yep. Harriet, I say it all the time. I try to say it all the time, even on this call, that when you share Solex, right? Because when we're excited about what we have, it is just sharing. It's simply as, hey, this cool thing happened to me, or I'm using this cool technology or this cool product. And that alone, that excitement about you and your experience and the other person and who they are, just who they are, usually makes the connection so much easier.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations to the 3 of you. You will receive your AO Gut, and thanks to everyone who entered our contest. And stay till the end to hear what our contest is going to be this week, and you can enter that as well. All right, we are going to now turn the time over to Deb Bruce. She is going to talk to us. This is actually a part 2 from a couple of weeks ago, so we're looking forward to that.
Do you ever get that feeling that something's just off? Like your body is trying to tell you something? Why not listen? Learn to listen. AO Scan.
So let's jump into tonight another part of the circulatory system. I'm going to highlight some of the main parts of it and then encourage you to dive into your scanner to even research it more. So let's talk first about some of the things that you're going to hear when somebody's had a medical diagnosis. You can see here that there are various things that are listed that we really hear that a lot of people have today, especially since the end of COVID. We can see different artery diseases, high blood pressure, coronary artery disease, carotid artery disease. And then here, some insufficiencies, thrombosis, varicose veins, all these types of things that people just really need help with, and that we can help them with our scanner to elevate the frequency of the different areas so that these situations can either be avoided, or if they've already been diagnosed with them, help them improve their health in these areas. So when you're using your scanner, you're going to want to look at the PDFs of the various areas. So here we have arteries of the head, where you're going to want to look for the 1s and the 9s to see where frequency-wise things have either in the short term or in the long term been having some inflammation or an area that energetically is tired. We also have the arteries of the upper body, where the same thing would apply, looking and seeing what areas just energetically don't seem to have sufficient flow or are having possibly an inflammatory response. We have arteries of the lower body. We also have the veins of the upper body, and we have the veins of the lower body. And there are other views as well, as far as the legs, the head, the arms. You'd want to really take a really good overlook and scan all of these areas in order to get a really good picture of energetically what is going on. Even the kidneys. Scan both of the kidneys and see if the kidneys are having 1s and 9s and having areas that have a difficulty. Right kidney, left kidney. Why would we want to do this? Well, here you see a definition how the circulatory system is so essential for kidney function. We have the flow of blood, the flow of oxygen, and then the kidneys having a problem can lead to the cardiovascular system having a problem. High blood pressure can damage the kidneys' delicate tissues, and then that reduces their ability to filter the blood, and that puts a strain on the heart, which then also puts a strain on the whole circulatory system. Also the lymphatics. Lymphatics would be something that would be very important to scan when you're considering wanting to raise the frequencies of the circulatory system. Now, why is that? This would be because when the lymphatics get thick, it compromises the circulatory system by actually causing edema. It can cause inflammation. It can contribute to heart failure since the lymphatics lose their ability to drain fluid from the different areas and also the ability to transport immune cells effectively to areas where they're needed. So this dysfunction can be both a cause or a consequence of cardiovascular diseases, which majorly is a part of the circulatory system. So what do we want to do? We want to provide support for the circulatory system. Now, we know in the back office that we have 2 products that are awesome for the heart support and also the circulatory system as a whole support. And this would be Solex Blue and also Pulse. One of the areas that you can find out if the suggestion is for either one of these back office products is to do body systems. Body systems is excellent for scanning the circulatory system. You can see here in the beginning of the report where it shows the areas that came up as being affected as either chronic or acute, 9s or 1s, and then it shows from the blood with vitals different things to take into consideration as well with chronic or acute, 9s or 1s, and then it gives you the possible causes. And so remember that the database, it's at times it may pick out the closest thing or the exact thing frequency-wise that fingerprint-wise matches what has been going on in their system. You can see here that under circulatory causes, one of the things here listed is Epstein-Barr. And we know that Epstein-Barr is something that can really cause wreak a lot of havoc as a frequency to all sorts of things in the body. And then another one that's really important here was metabolic waste, dehydration. Think of the circulatory system and how it relies on proper blood flow, which relies a lot on hydration. So this is something that you're going to want to look for as well. And then you have the emotions. The emotions are always, as we've talked about before, one of the major causes why an area can have problems. And so this would be something that you really would want to pay attention to when somebody is having a problem with the circulatory system. Now, in this particular body systems report, notice one of the things that came up at the very bottom, and that was Solex Pulse. Why is that? If you look back through some of the Wednesday night calls, you'll see that Kai in the past has given an excellent descriptions on how the niacin and the nitric oxide can help the circulatory system. This can be really key in helping somebody's frequencies to elevate more towards that gold standard of what is healthy. And then notice too, a healthy weight, alcohol in moderation, increased hydration came up, just like we saw as part of the prior causes that were listed. And then healthy foods, and consider massages to help with the blood flow, to help with the circulatory system in order for it to be able to really do its job correctly and in an optimal way. Here again, you can go directly into vitals and you can scan the kidneys, see the kidney function that comes up in vitals. And here you can get a clue as to what that function is doing in relationship to the circulatory system as well. And this will give you some ideas as far as what is in balance or out of balance with the kidneys that could assist with the circulatory system. And here is where a scan was done of all of the parts of the circulatory system and also of the kidneys. And so you can see where in a group report, this is just a small part of the report, but it gives you an idea of how you can start to really dig in if you look into your reports and see what was involved as far as with that circulatory system and with the kidneys. It came up here with brain and spine, the need for some help for the cervical and possible neck injury. We see that there's chemicals listed that could be very important. We see the endocrine system, some of the things that are listed there as far as affecting the circulatory system, food sensitivities. And as you know, if you went down farther in the report, you would see chemicals, heavy metals, all types of categories that would really show what was going on that's affecting the circulatory system. And here again, the emotions, rather not endocrine, the emotions that are listed is one of the most important areas that you can really pay attention to, because we know that emotions is one of the top 3 causes of why the body has different problems. So this goes back to why you would go and use inner voice. And we see here that inner voice was used with the heart, which has brought over suggestions that are needed for the circulatory system. And this one mentioned not only the heart, but also the kidneys. So here you can see that this would be a very valuable report with the emotions in order to help that circulatory system and the kidneys that are involved in the circulatory system. Other parts of your scanner that can be of great help is homeoenergetics. Here, just under the arteries of the head, you can see that there's some really valuable information here where you can assess whether or not the person should be directly given the remedy in order to help with the area based on the stress, the benefit, and whether or not it's ideal. But even if you do some of these homeoenergetics and none of them are ideal, they still can give you really important information. Like, for example, in this one here, let's say that nothing was ideal under the numbers. It would still give you some information about the arteries of the head, because it would show you that they've got some heavy metals, that they've had some past dental work where either the materials or the bacteria or something from that dental work has affected the arteries of the head, and then the arterial sclerosis mentioned at the bottom. So in this case, some of those remedies could be given, but if even not, think of the valuable information that you would get if you looked at what homeoenergetics brought up, what the brain selected for every single part of the circulatory system. You could get some really valuable information, plus you could get some remedies that you could imprint that would help those parts of the circulatory system as well. Here again, in your scanner, with this person's scan, going and seeing what floral remedy was needed for them. This is something that is very important for them, that could be imprinted and that could be used to help the circulatory system. The other thing that was done was looking at what chakra, the throat chakra came up. So this person, in connection with their circulatory system, has things that they need to say. And that goes back to the emotion lists that you saw. So you could go back and show them the emotion list and say, what do you see here in the emotion list that could possibly be involved with your throat chakra that needs to be addressed? At that point, you could go to other parts of your scanner, even possibly going to MindSync and having them do positive affirmations that they could listen to that has to do with the throat and has to do with the circulatory system. So these are just some of the suggestions. You can see how you can really dig into your scanner and have a lot of different applications that can help that circulatory system. And when you start to see how much is involved with the kidneys, with the lymphatics, and that's just touching the surface, this is really one system in the body that you want to pay close attention to, but you also want to take advantage of your scanner in order to start raising the frequency of that system to the gold standard. I hope this helps. Look forward to talking to you another evening.